All right, man. Oleksandr Usyk says he wants to fight Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Okay. I put on the screen what he said, and I'm gonna explain why he wants to fight Wilder. I know a lot of people say he ducked that Fabio Wardley guy. I don't think he ducked him. That dude don't look all that good to me. But I mean, he got a hot name in the UK. Maybe he should fight him. I think Usyk will destroy him. I mean, that's just my uneducated opinion, my hypothesis. If Turkey gonna pay him, pay him. I think people don't really understand how important Deontay Wilder was. He was the most important fighter to boxing in the last 25 years. Let me explain that. I'm gonna make it make sense with Oleksandr Usyk. He was the most important fighter because there hadn't been a real prominent heavyweight in America. I mean, Holyfield kind of got beat up by James Toney. That was early 2000s. Toney never got a title. Lennox Lewis, I think in the year 2000, had that treacherous war with Vladimir Klitschko where Vitaly Klitschko, who stepped in, I believe, on a late notice and gave Lennox Lewis all he wanted. So that was the Klitschko reign, even though, Vitaly lost due to cuts. People remember Lennox kept rubbing his dreads in his face to open that cut up because he was giving Lennox that business. I believe Lennox got the hell up out of here after that. Ever since then, there really hasn't been a prominent heavyweight. And I get it, Lennox Lewis was a man of many countries, Canada, Jamaica, Britain, but, Americans knew him. They knew him. You know what I'm saying? From, seeing Rockland knockout to getting with Emmanuel Stewart and going on an amazing run and putting hands, foot, and toes and elbows on people, right? I think he got a draw with Holyfield, which he clearly won that fight. It was I think it was a draw, which we all feel like he clearly won that fight. But it hadn't been a prominent figure. The heavyweight champion, boxing moves on that momentum. You know what I'm saying? That's what boxing moves on. And when boxing doesn't have a heavyweight champion that people can identify with, you know what I'm saying, they say he's our guy, boxing really doesn't really hit like it used to hit. You can say Mayweather was a one-off, but even when the heavyweight division was booming in the 90s and the 80s and all that, it still was more entertaining top to bottom than the Mayweather era. So Wilder's importance in his development and him being able to get knockouts was very important to American boxing. And for the most part, he got knockouts, but people didn't like the way he got knockouts. It was climactic. You know what I'm saying? It was hella entertaining when he was gonna land that punch. And he was very important to, America. I mean, to boxing in general. So boxing really needed him to be successful and beat Fury and fight AJ and even have a trilogy with AJ. That was very important. That was very important. So when that didn't happen the way it should have happened, and he fell off them Fury fights, a lot of that, you won't hear people talk about the heavyweight division like that no more. PBC died shortly after that. But what Usyk is seeing is an opportunity to, before he retire, imprint on the American public. That's it. And he also see a hurt Deontay Wilder, a downgrade Deontay Wilder, a Wilder that doesn't have the athleticism, that life has beat him down or age has caught up with him and he hasn't really developed the skill set. You've seen it with Roy. He predicated his game on his athletic ability and his reflexes. And when those went away, Roy struggled to swim. Same thing you seeing going on with Deontay. To an more extreme level, but it is what it is, right? But yeah, well, Usyk, I think he just wants to be endeared by the American public. He wants to be remembered because it's hard to be considered an ATG, without the American public believing you that the ATG all-time great. He's gonna be one of those American forgotten fighters. So without having those great fights in America that people care about, he also kind of didn't benefit from Deontay's downfall. He didn't benefit from it. If Deontay would have stayed winning in some capacity, stayed on top of his game, Usyk could have really he would have been in danger, but he really could have got some endearment from the American public. He really probably could have went down to somebody that they remember, not to the point of a Holyfield or a Lennox Lewis or Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, but he would have been remembered. And now, without a prominent Wilder, or another prominent heavyweight, the guy, he was just going to be remembered overseas. Even though he had a really good fight with Michael Hunter. Yeah, people forget that. He had a really good fight with Michael Hunter. Well, Michael Hunter, he just couldn't keep up with his condition. And that was at cruiserweight, but was in America, and people don't care about cruiserweight. I think he tried to fight at light heavyweight. I don't think he can really cut the weight comfortably. I mean, Holyfield tried to debut a couple fights at light heavyweight. I don't think he really was comfortable with the weight cut. So you had to do what you had to do at cruiserweight, but cruiserweight was invented by the WBC. That wasn't always, and it's a weight class that's just never caught on. 168 is a weight class that has caught on. 154 historically was a weight class that has caught on. That's an interesting thing about it. A lot of these other weight classes is weight classes that have caught on. They have caught on. But, cruiserweight just hasn't really caught on. That's what's crazy, where, Benavidez is in a rush to get the cruiserweight and fight Gilberto Ramirez. I don't think Ramirez got the motion of an elite, ticket-pulling Mexican, but I could be wrong. In my community, maybe Benavidez Ramirez is good enough to pull a Cinco de Mayo. Who am I to say any different? Only time will tell. But I've really never seen anybody in a rush to get the cruiserweight. I've really never seen nobody, wait again. It's just never been one of those divisions that catched on. Like I said, 68 was a European division dominant, but Usyk just wants to be remembered by the American fans. He wants to get that American popularity. That's it. Without Wilder, he's like, really, who else do you have to really be remembered? Jared Anderson was supposed to be the guy that took the torch. Now he can actually fight Frank Sanchez for IBF title eliminator. I don't know if he would accept it or not. And then, he crying in the ring and shit. So there's a lot of things going on there. It just seemed like with all the physical talent, but just emotionally not there. Seemed to be a smart kid, but, so many things that have to go right to see an athlete. Yeah, you got the size, you got the speed, but also the mental things. Who was the boxer that broke out crying in the corner? It wasn't Ray Mercer. I forget the guy's name. He just broke out in the middle of the fight. It's a lot of shit going on, man. On top of abuse to the body and abuse to the neurological system, that's a lot. That's a lot. But Usyk just wants to be remembered by the American public. he probably wants to fight in Vegas or New York or somewhere prominent so people can remember him in America. That's it. I think that's what it is. I mean, I think he fought Michael Hunter down there in the MGM Harbor Bay and somewhere down there in the DMV, if my memory serves me correctly. So that wasn't a prominent venue. No disrespect to my DC and my DMV brothers, but that wasn't a prominent venue, you know. But yeah, I just think he wants the pageantry, and that's my opinion on it, and my opinion alone. So thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and the subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance to get notifications. You go live or drop video. Check out the Boxing News playlist. Check out the Heavyweight Boxing Talk playlist. Appreciate the love, support. Hit the link tree. You can find me on Patreon, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, the whole nine. Peace.